There we go. All right. So let me go ahead and share my screen really quickly. Can everyone see this okay? It can either be verbal or a thumbs up.
Yes.
Play from the start. Wonderful. All right. And I believe I'm starting to lag a little bit here, so I'm going to stop my video. All right, everyone. Welcome to our LibGuides optimization webinar. Glad that you could make it here today. So first, I'm just going to start with a very brief agenda. And let's make sure that actually goes to the next slide. So our agenda for today, we're very briefly going to go over what workflow for LibGuides is, if anyone on this call is not aware. After that, we'll go over some examples and use cases of how LibGuides pop-ups work and the countless different ways you can utilize them to promote your hard work as librarians. Then I'll do a quick demonstration of how to set up a LibGuides integration with Lean Library. It's pretty straightforward. If you have workflow for LibGuides already, you're welcome to follow along. The instructions will be up on the screen before I do that. And then finally, if we have time, we'll briefly touch on some other features available to workflow for LibGuide subscribers, including the LibChat integration, FAQs, etc. And then if we don't have time, we will try to leave about 10 minutes at the end for any questions. And if we run out of time from that, then we can continue any conversations later over email or the support desk. So with that said, let's get started. 1, what is workflow for LibGuides? So just briefly, our main mission at Lean Library is to help you as librarians redefine and amplify the power of the academic library to advance student learning and researcher impact. Now, how do we do that? If you have Lean Library, you likely already know that we want to help you bring your students back to the library. That's why the various pop-ups exist, to tell your students, hey, we're here. And guess what? We can help you find this resource or this item that you're searching at the library. So this in turn promotes your resources at your library, and this is not limited to books, articles, and other publisher media. And that's where workflow for LibGuides comes into play. So we wanted to create a way for librarians' hard work to also be recognized by students. So LibGuides, as a fellow academic librarian myself, I know our resources that we spend a lot of time creating and curating, and it can be pretty disappointing or very frustrating when you've already anticipated the needs of a student for a specific topic, just to see that guide, see low visitation numbers, and be difficult to promote. So workflow for LibGuides allows you to embed your LibGuides on the very page students may need an answer to their question. So, for example, let's say you have created a LibGuide for World War II, but you know a lot of students are visiting the World War II Wikipedia page to find answers. You can embed a LibGuide directly on that World War II Wikipedia page so that those with the extension will see your hard work right next to the content that they're already reading. This is just one of the use cases that we have, and we'll go over more examples in a moment. So this page shows you a few of the other features Workflow for LibGuides has. If you have it already, you're probably familiar with it. But again, we'll get to these later if we have time. So very briefly, before we get to our examples, I want to share Utah State University's story with the Workflow for LibGuides feature. So Utah State have a dedicated team of librarians who update, maintain hundreds of LibGuides for use in their Canvas courses, for instruction, and for troubleshooting guides. So they currently have 493, probably plus at this point, in addition to other supports, other points of support like their niche niche academy tutorials. I cannot say that word today. So basically, this stat right here is only coming from one of their LibGuides, their Google Scholar LibGuide usage. So delivering their LibGuide for Google Scholar on Google Scholar itself, so on that domain name, has increased usage of their Google Scholar LibGuide by 600%. So let's go over some more examples. So our first example will be a continuation of the Utah State example with Google Scholar. So this example here will show you what a research guide can look like directly on Google Scholar. Why is this such a prominent example? We probably all know that university students love Google. It's something they're familiar with, have used for years, and Google Scholar is a continuation of that familiarity for many. However, Google Scholar is not always the most intuitive, and the Lean Library integrations, whether you have Lean Library Access or an upgraded version, may not always be apparent to students. That's why it might be helpful to surface a Google Scholar LibGuide. So for our examples, this one and the 4 that are coming after this are examples of what the pop-up can look like. They are recorded and on this PowerPoint to save a bit of time, but I will show you a live example later. So I'm going to go ahead and press play on this one. And please let me know if you cannot see the recording for some reason. So we go to Google Scholar. We get a pop-up, Google Scholar Search Enhanced. And this is one of the many ways LibGuides can be integrated. You'll see it didn't show up as a pop-up. You see that you have to press the home button here, and then you'll see the Google Scholar LibGuide. When you click on it, it provides some information about how Google Scholar integrates with Lean Library, but this can be anything. This can be a general guide on how to use Google Scholar as well. So there are a couple of examples. A LibGuide can show up as a pop-up at the point of contact with the website, so here. But you actually have configuration options for how in your face you want the pop-up to show. So here you had to click the home button, and then you got more information on how to use Google Scholar. So our next example is related to this website called XE Network. If you aren't familiar with it, XE Network hosts a show about fossil fuels and renewable energy. And sometimes media resources like these require specific registration instructions if your library has bought access rights to them. It's not as simple as using the Lean Library Access pop-up and going straight to authentication. Sometimes these websites require you to go through a different registration process. So in this example, we're showing you another use case, which is adding a set of instructions for how to join the site using university credentials. And this shows up as a PDF. So although we use the LibGuide integration primarily for LibGuides, we actually can show a host of different material using the integration as well. And we'll show you how this works a little bit later. But for now, we'll show it. So we see at the point of contact, we actually see this time a library guide pops up, so you don't have to click the home button. So this one is a little bit more in your face for students. You click on that library guide, and you're taken to this PDF document on how to sign up for this website using university credentials. So on to our next example. Example number 3 is a very specific use case, but every library has specific use cases that others might not. So let's say that you used to subscribe to an EBSCO database, but due to a number of factors, budget, low usage, etc., the library has decided not to subscribe to that database anymore. If you have a guide explaining that the resources is no longer available, you can attach it to this homepage and all subpages of the database you no longer have access to. Of course, you also can set up a message using the assist feature in Lean Library, but this example is actually a great one of how the LibGuide feature can be used in conjunction with other pop-ups as well. So by using a LibGuide here, you can have the assist message pop up first, and then also include a LibGuide explaining more details and potentially pointing students to another database you do have access to that would support their needs. So let's see what that looks like here. So we go to Elsevier. We see the assist message actually pop up first. It says we're still in negotiations, so we get an explanation for why we don't have access to this. And then again, as with the Google Scholar example, if you click the homepage, you get more information on why you don't have access to this. And this could be anything. Again, you could have this point to a page that takes you to another database. So students are redirected to resources that you do have access to at the library. All right. Our next example is about encouraging students to make use of other available features. So this is tied to the idea of helping students find other resources that you have access to. So 2 things here. We all know that Wikipedia is one of, if not the top place students will go to find information about a topic. If you have a LibGuide related either directly to Wikipedia, or maybe you have an alternatives to Wikipedia guide, you can link this on the Wikipedia homepage or specific subpages to direct students back to the library. Also, if you have Lean Library features, you do have access to Sage research methods, which if there's a specific word or phrase in Wikipedia, it will show up highlighted, and you can redirect students to a page that explains what that phrase means and provide additional research resources or guides to help them search a specific topic. So we can show you what that looks like here. So there's multiple use cases when a LibGuide is popping up on Wikipedia. So again, here we've chosen to make this go directly to the LibGuide. If you click on that LibGuide, this one is showing you how to use Sage research tools and provides a specific example. And you'll see in a second, we will show you what that looks like in Wikipedia. So this does encourage students to use other Lean Library features as well and provides a guide for them. So we look at visual research. You see that Lean Library features has enabled students to read more about a specific topic, and it's redirecting them to a page that takes them to something that looks like this, gives them information about the term visual research, and provides them with alternatives as well. All right. And the last example that we have. So our final example is related to ChatGPT and AI. It may be safe to say that AI has absolutely changed the landscape of higher education in many different ways. So the example we're showing you here is using LibGuides to actually show a course on AI to help students properly use ChatGPT. So again, this is an example of using the LibGuide integration for something non-LibGuide related. We're actually linking out to a course instead, and it's shown as an iframe on the page. And we'll show you that right here. We click on ChatGPT, and then we get our pop-up here. We see library guide again, because that's the name of the feature. And this is actually the course that it links students out to, shown as an iframe. And you can see it shows up as an iframe, but for something like this, it might be more helpful for students to have this as a new tab. If you hit the little pop-out button here, it'll take them into a full-size page of the website. So those are all the examples for now. The question that we now have to ask is, how do you set this up? Again, some of you might already be familiar with this, so we'll keep it relatively brief before we get into the example. But basically, you need to set up your LibGuides with Lean Library. So one, you'll need the workflow for LibGuide subscription. The first step is to connect Lean Library to your LibGuides, and we really only need two pieces of information to do this. It's pretty straightforward: your site ID and your key through SpringShare in order to pull your LibGuides into the librarian dashboard. Once you have that pulled in, you'll be taken to a page that looks similar to this, except with your own LibGuides, and you can choose which of your guides you want to import and make active in Lean Library. This doesn't mean that they're automatically active, but it does mean that they're available for librarians to choose to surface. So number 3, and probably the most important step, is you need to surface LibGuides on relevant pages. So using the onboarding console in the dashboard, you'll be able to set up resources, which is basically a name and then a domain name for a website, and select which resource or LibGuide you'd like from the drop-down list shown on the right. Resources or content don't have to be LibGuides, as mentioned before, and I'll show you an example of that because it's a little bit faster. But this is the main way that you integrate LibGuides into Lean Library. So you can also see here that there are some configuration options. If you have a time-limited LibGuide that you'd like displayed, you can choose a start and end date for the setup. You can also choose, again, how in your face the LibGuide appears. Do you want it to show it directly to the student and have them be able to choose when they want it turned off? Do you want to show it only once, or do you not want to show this automatically? Which means that it won't show up as a pop-up, but you do need to hit available in quick menu, and the LibGuide will be available there, like in the Google Scholar example we showed you at first. So before we head to this, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing and share my Chrome window so we can show you how to set up an integration. And I want to apologize in advance. We are updating our cache today, so it is running a little bit slow. What I'll probably do looking at the time is set up the integration and then have a couple of questions for a couple minutes, and then the LibGuide will be available on the page. So apologies for that delay. We will go ahead and share Google Chrome. And please let me know if you can't see this screen. I'm going to refresh this page to make sure I'm still logged in. So setting up a LibGuide, you will need to go to the Lean Library Features section. You will need to first go to resources if you haven't already created one. You can see here that basically a resource is just a name and then an access link, which is the domain, and that's where the LibGuide will actually show up. For purposes of this, I'm going to change it up a little bit to make it a little faster. So onboarding here, to set up your LibGuide integration, you would go to integrations. And you can see that we've already imported some. So once these are imported, this right here will show you a list of all of your LibGuides. This one's pretty short because it's just an example one, but it lets you import them and enable them here. And then you can, from this view, set up the resource on a specific page. But again, I'm going to do this a slightly different way. So if you don't want to set up a LibGuide or want to set up a LibGuide, but maybe you haven't imported all of your LibGuides at some point and would like to start on one that just to test it out, you can go to content here. And what I'm going to hit is new onboarding. I'm going to go ahead and add an iframe link, and I'm going to use my lovely colleague's LibGuide at my university that I currently work for. So we're going to go ahead and pull up this wonderful Mexican American literature LibGuide. And I'm going to call it, looks like I've already done this one time before. So Mexican American Lit at HCC. And I'm going to add this here. Now, again, if you have your LibGuides already uploaded or integrated into Lean Library, you don't need to do this. But this is the way that you add alternative resources. And this is the way I'm going to do this now for purposes of this demonstration. Then I'm going to go ahead and go up into setup. And here is where you'll see that page that looks somewhat familiar to the one in the integrations panel. So what we'll need to do is typically you can choose content, which I would choose Mexican American Lit, and then resources from the resource section. If you don't actually want a LibGuide to appear on a certain domain and all the subpages, you can have it linked to a specific URL, and that's what I'm going to do here. So let's say I look up Mexican American books on Google. And maybe I figured out that a lot of my students for a course are going to this Penguin Random House page to see which books they want for their project in this course. So to set up a LibGuide for this page, I'm going to copy this. I'm going to go to onboarding setup, add the URL here. I don't want it shown on subpages. I'm going to keep the content as Mexican American Lit for my LibGuide, and I'm going to have it available. We'll have it starting yesterday just to be safe. So I do want it to be shown until marked as read. So these are the configuration options, and I do want it shown in the quick menu. The last one is the view. How do you want the pop-up to show up once they click library guide? Do you want it to show up in a more non-obtrusive way as a side, or do you want it to take up more of the screen? I'm going to keep it less obtrusive for this demonstration, and I'll go ahead and click save. So that'll take a couple of minutes because we're updating our cache right now. So for the meantime, while that updates, I will go ahead and open it up to any questions that you might have, and I'll stop sharing for the meantime. And re-enable my video here. And if there are no questions, that's okay too. While we're doing this, I'm going to just refresh this. So Maria and Emily, did that all make sense. I know that Emily, you're in the middle of a lot of configuration for Lean Library right now. Um, and I think this is on the list of things to do for you and your staff.
Yes, it looks fantastic. We have so many different instances of Spring Share that anyway, and so thank you for recording this. I will need to share it with a lot of people. And yeah, we'll look at how it will fit into our workflow.
Great. Yeah, so if you have multiple different instances, those all can be uploaded in the integration section of onboarding in the dashboard. So you don't have to worry if you have multiple instances, if you want to include all of your LibGuides in Lean Library.
Do you know if we'll be able to configure it such that folks who have access to that particular sub-account also have access to the configurations?
So we can absolutely give them access to the librarian dashboard. If you want those people on your team to have access, that's not a problem.
Awesome. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, we can help you as you're getting set up those integrations and kind of walk you through it as well. All right, let me go ahead and check to see if our cache is updated here. And it has, so I'm gonna share my screen one more time. If I can find the share the screen button, there we go. Let's see here. Okay, Google Chrome, share. All right, hopefully you can see that. So I'm gonna go ahead and open that Penguin Random House page. I'll open it and you can see right here, we have library guide show up. We can click on it and we have the LibGuide show up in the iframe here. If you click on the home page too, I should have, yep. So if you click show in quick menu, it will show up here as well. If the pop-up goes away, students can just click on the Lean Library extension up here and it'll show up as well. So they don't have to worry about losing that. And again, for our configuration options, we chose to let students tell us to not show it again. So if we hit that, then the pop-up won't show again if we refresh the page. But that's basically how that works. It's pretty straightforward. It's even more straightforward if you have the LibGuides integrated because you can just do this entire thing from one screen. You don't have to keep going back and forth. But if you'd like to link to a certain web page or a PDF or just some HTML, that's also possible. And again, it does work in conjunction with other pop-ups. So if you have an assist message pop up here, it would show, and then they can go to the home page and get more information via this iframe. All right, I'll stop sharing here. So we do have a few minutes to go over other features, but again, I want to make sure that everything is clear. We don't have too much time left. So I know we spoke briefly, Emily. Marie, did you have anything that you felt like you didn't understand or was missing?
No, thank you. I think you're doing a good job explaining it.
Okay, yeah, that's great to hear. So yeah, we don't have much time left, so I'm gonna just go ahead and end this recording right now. Or I think it just ends when no, there we go.